QT Marshall, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. And I know you're one of the busiest, hardest working guys in AEW, so I much appreciate getting some of your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, hardest working. I do as much as I possibly can. Let's put it that way. But I think Cody's got to do the work, and Christian has outwork everybody. So those models are kind of taken at the moment. So I like to work very hard quietly behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to start by going kind of to the beginning of your AEW journey, because as a veteran guy and a guy that's really paid his dues in this business, what was your first impression of Tony Khan, and how did you know that this guy was going to create something special?
One conversation. That's really all I needed to know the passion that he has for professional wrestling. Of course, knowing what his family has and stuff like that. We were never really worried about the financial aspect of AEW. So, cause that's always one of the biggest reasons why most places don't succeed. But, it wasn't about, his family's money or anything like that. It was his business plan that, when he kind of told everyone what was going on. And, we actually just spoke about it the other night about, how he had this plan for such a long time. And, anyone that's followed Tony, they know that he's been writing Dynamite shows since he's, almost a child. So it's pretty cool, So yeah, once one conversation with him, I kind of realized right away, like, okay, this is the place I definitely would like to be at. If I could just get a foot in the door. And, Cody offered me that foot in the door by being his assistant, and knowing how wrestling works and how businesses work as a startup company, I knew there were going to be a lot of opportunities to kind of help out as much as I could. And I just kind of did that and held on tight and waited till the right moment. And then I asked to be moved up in the company.
Mm-hmm. When you took on the producer role and working backstage role, how sure of yourself were you in that role originally, and how much of it has turned out to be what you expected?
So when I was with Ring of Honor towards the tail end of when the Bucks and Cody and them were there, I was doing Women of Honor commentary, but at the same time I was behind the scenes, and that was kind of the deal. I was able to shadow producers and, the executive producer and stuff like that, and really see how they ran everything. And of course, their operation is a little bit smaller than live TV. So, those are the hiccups that I had starting out, but I love wrestling. And, I always say I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, but I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can. So, and, just give me the opportunity. So that's kind of how it went. And, I'm still learning to this day. The other night I was in the truck at 7:52. At 7:53, I had to go out there with a live microphone. So it was like 90 seconds to QT's music. And I'm like, QT's behind you. There's no way I'm making it to the arena. So, but we made it work.
Having been in Ring of Honor then at that time when the Bucks and Cody joined, and before even they did the All In show, when did you first get the tingling that something really different was about to happen in wrestling away from WWE, that a new thing could be forming?
So when I saw them there, and I saw the reactions they were getting from the audience, and of course Cody coming in with such a, like a huge name, right, from WWE, it's like one of those things, and the way he was presented himself and the way he really did his meet and greets, and I just saw the admiration that these fans had. It was like, they were creating a movement. I honestly didn't think that, someone was just going to pop up and start a wrestling company. So I thought either Ring of Honor was going to move to the next step, but also knowing Ring of Honor, I kind of didn't think that either. I thought that Cody and them were going to probably end up, at the WWE, and, I was going to just be friends with Cody, but I was never going to get that opportunity as well. So I'm very excited that they didn't go to WWE.
Yeah. So what is a week in the life of QT Marshall like? I mean, I'd usually ask someone what a day in the life is like, but you do so much. What's a week like for you?
Mondays, either if I have an interview set up, I try to do that. I wake up, go to the gym. Then we have a lot of calls on Monday stuff, then I head over to the school. We have our camp from 5 to 7. We do a night class after that, come home. Usually we'll get the message with Tony. I'll start chatting with him about formatting the TV show and stuff like that. Tuesday, fly out. We do our production meeting that night. Wednesday, we do live TV. I try to get on the first flight home Thursday morning, then kind of repeat what I do on Monday on Thursday. And then the weekends, try to just spend time with my wife. We just got a new puppy. So we'll see how that goes. This weekend, I'm actually going to do a seminar and an independent show that some guys that were really cool to me when I was just breaking in. So it's kind of like giving back. I like to do that. And it doesn't hurt the pocket either. So, but now with this new puppy, I think, I don't know how many more independent dates I'm going to end up taking. So
you could bring puppy on the road, training a puppy on the road.
So I brought her to Jacksonville. My wife came with us, and everyone loved her. She was like a huge hit. But at the same time, I've never flown with an animal, so I don't know how that works. Jacksonville's easy. It's just a 5-hour drive.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you guys are back on the road. So how have things changed in the producer role?
Honestly, kind of the same. You know, it's a lot easier because the bigger arenas, the longer aisleways, you can get away with a lot more. If you pitch to a video package and someone's still in the ring, they can kind of go down the side of the ramp. They don't have to walk. In Daly's place, it's just a stage, a little ramp, and then the tunnel. So everyone has to exit and enter kind of the same way, unless you're John Moxley. So it is a little bit more difficult to, to format everything when Tony and I sit down and we really try to, okay, is this going to be enough time to do this? Is it so? Those are the challenges, but on the road, there's nothing like it. And especially, we've been packing the houses in there. So, and those fans are rabid. They want all elite wrestling in their city and they can't wait. And they've been waiting over a year for it. So you can just see the passion that they have. It really makes for a great night.
Yeah, the fans have been so incredible since you guys have been back. And when you're laying out things with Tony, and Tony seems to have, such a great plan, like going forward with the booking and everything, is how much like leeway is being made for how the reaction of fans might change things. Like, for example, your last pay-per-view where you had such a big crowd and you see someone like Jungle Boy get a huge reaction, that like how much are you guys kind of having wiggle room to maybe change things if you see how the crowd are reacting to people?
So I think Tony, deep down, he kind of understands where he's going and, where everyone else is going and where he wants them to go. He doesn't really get into too much detail with me about that because, again, if I don't need to know, I don't ask. It's just one of those things, especially as an on-air talent as well. The last thing I want to do is find out what's going on with the other wrestlers, with the other talent, stuff like that. But at the same time, we do have to allot for an extra 40 seconds, right? An extra minute. If that crowd's going crazy, you can't just, okay, bye, see you later. You know what I mean? Same with the matches. As the matches are going on, if you have, and me, I know as a performer myself, if I have 12 minutes, I'm going to try my best not to cram 12 minutes into that 12 minutes because you never know. If we before we even lock up, like the other night, Cody and Malachi Black, like they didn't even lock up yet and the crowd was going crazy. So to rush that, then you're taking away the fan experience. And we've waited so long to get the fans back. We definitely don't want to take them for granted.
Mm-hmm. So we're doing this on our Friday, and this is kind of maybe your last free Friday night before Rampage starts next Friday. So how are you preparing for that, and what kind of extra things is that going to be putting onto your schedule?
Yeah, an extra show. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Man, we were excited to get 2 hours of Dynamite, and now to add a third hour on a Friday night, which hopefully wrestling fans are going to be watching the other guys, right? And then it leads us right into us. So I'm pumped for it. I think it's, next week we're in Pittsburgh. So we have Wednesday Dynamite. Thursday, I'm going to be heading over to one of the facilities where Britt Baker and Wardlow trained. I want to go check out some of the talent over there and kind of let them know like what AEW looks for and stuff like that. And then Friday, live Rampage, first one ever. We start at 10 o'clock, so I'm sure we're going to do some preliminary stuff, maybe film an episode of Dark or something like that, to keep the crowd getting ready for it. So should be exciting.
With Rampage and the time slot it's starting like a bit later, I think 2 hours later, right? So it's going to be, for me, I'll be watching it from 3 to 4 a.m. So for you guys, is anything going to be different as far as now you have a later time slot? Is that going to change anything as far as like the catering, will there be anything about it that's maybe a bit more for an older audience, given the time that it's on?
I don't think so, because I think, we'll probably, I think what are we, we're TV 14 now, I believe. So we'll probably stay the same. We do get away with a lot of stuff that made wrestling fun when I was growing up, and we try to bring a lot of that back. So I think we'll probably keep it the same. Those are some things that I don't know, and I haven't asked, because it's really none of my business. As long as I know if I'm going to perform, I'm always going to go to the people that I need to go to clear everything I want to do, because again, there has to be a trickle effect in all of this.
So talking about you on screen now, you kicked off earlier this year your feud with Cody, and you guys have such a close relationship. So how long had it been the plan that you would eventually turn on him and start this feud?
So back at All Out in 2019, I had told Cody that we weren't sure where he was going after he had that amazing match with Dustin. And then they did the tag match at Fight for the Fallen, and he did the match with Darby at Fyter Fest. We weren't really sure. And with Sean Spears, I remember I called Sean to try to see if he was interested in working the program and stuff like that. And he was getting married that weekend, and they were going on their honeymoon. And, happy wife, happy life. He really, kind of thought about it. And so I told Cody, I said, well, this could be cool. Like if maybe I'd turn on you or do something. And he started laughing, because I wasn't a wrestler at the time. Right. And we didn't have that invested in the storylines, and we didn't have TV and all this other stuff. I was just known as the guy on Road to with the Apple. Right. So it was completely, shot down right away. Then I started working more and more, and I started teaming with Dustin, and it was actually Tony's idea to, have myself have a stable. And we tried to pick, some of the best athletes that I had at the training facility to help boost them up. Right. Because people did know who I was, and I did have a little bit of equity from being on television. So, and the best way to do it was to go after, who my best friend. Right. So it was Tony's idea. At first we kind of, of course I was interested in it, because I don't love being a babyface on TV.
Yeah.
So I think I'm more natural in this role. I get to be myself, and I'm so nice behind the scenes, and I'm so nice in my everyday life. It's nice to have that release out there, to be able to become, the character that I portray. So, yeah, so it was, like I said, it was Tony's idea, and it was supposed to be like a one and done type match type deal. And then, we were going to go to the pay-per-view with Anthony and stuff like that, and try to boost Camarado and Solo. And Cody and I had really good chemistry, and Tony really liked it. So he just, we thought he was joking at first, like, hey, I think we're going to do another match. We're like, what? Yeah. Okay. I'm never going to turn down a TV match with one of the biggest stars in our company. You know what I mean? That helps elevate me to the next level right out the gate. So it's been fun. I'm excited to see where we go next, me personally in the factory. But, like I said, it was definitely one of the highlights of my career.
So mentioning Anthony Ogogo there, and he's obviously someone that we're very interested in over here in the UK. So what point then was it that he kind of came to the forefront of this story, where the idea was made to then go to him and Cody, and then kind of do the USA versus UK thing that we saw play out between them?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, in Tony's mind, it was always Anthony. He brings a lot to the table. Former Olympian, foreign, great looking, very charismatic, a tremendous story to his life and to how he's gotten to where he's gotten. So I think that was always the plan. They did it, they had their match at Double or Nothing. That was his first real match. He did excellent, and right now he's recuperating. Billy Gunn, we didn't really go into too much detail with it, but after one of the matches, Billy Gunn ended up slamming his head into a guardrail. He ended up getting hurt. So he's still recuperating, and obviously when he comes back, he'll be the same force he was when he left. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely somebody that we knew from the gate. That was back in 2019 when we first met him. DDP had brought him to the training facility just to meet us, and I got him in the ring. And within the first 5 minutes, knowing that he's a wrestling fan, it always helps when you get an athletic, a real athlete that loves wrestling. and is used to getting really beat up. So when he gets in the wrestling ring and we're not really beating each other up as hard as we can, and we're not breaking each other's noses and stuff like that. So he really adapted to it very quickly. And, so he was definitely one of the first choices when it came time for who was going to be in the factory.
As far as training him, how different was it from training a guy from scratch that just wants to be a wrestler? And were there things that he'd learned in boxing that you kind of had to unteach him to make him a better wrestler?
Yeah, not to knock someone's head off when you swing at them, right? But no, honestly, he adapted very quickly. And I also had a hand in training Matthew Riddle from WWE. And it's kind of the same thing. They're both, very charismatic wrestling fans. Very easy to train people like that because you don't have to explain to them what the moves look like. You don't have to go into detail about, how to perform, an elbow drop, because you've seen that ever since you're a child. So it makes it very easy. And like I said, he adapted very quickly.
Mm-hmm. So talking about training athletes to wrestlers, he helped train Shaq. What was that like compared to a go-go and all just the wrestlers that come through the factory?
Yeah, I mean, so Shaq, we were training Jade Cargill, and she's friends with Shaq, and he showed up one night. And when he showed up, he was just hanging out, and I looked over at him. I said, "So when are you going to get in here?" And he started laughing, and he said, "I've already been in there. I did some stuff, this, that, and the other." And then we actually spoke, and he was like, "I'd love to do something." And I was like, "I can train you, especially if it's just going to be for one match, in 10 sessions." And he was very dedicated. Every training class started at 11 o'clock at night because his schedule is so busy. But he really did. He picked up on it very quickly. And again, he's a wrestling fan. So the moment that you asked him what he wanted to do, he already had a whole list of things that he was, in his mind, he was going to do to somebody. And it was just about teaching him the right way to do it without, hurting himself. And then he said something about maybe going through some tables. And I told him, "Oh, it won't be that bad. There's we'll put a really thick pad underneath," which was not true. I just, I didn't want him to back out of it. So it was a lot of fun. As soon as he came in the back right away, he said, "You lied to me. There was no pad under there." Yeah, it's wrestling, welcome to wrestling. So.
Oh, what was it like for Jade, training her and then knowing her first match would be with her teaming with Shaq? Was she like nervous at all?
So Jade's a little bit of the opposite, right? Like she's not a huge wrestling fan up front. She just started getting into it a couple of years ago. And so she's still learning a lot of it. But she's, she has a huge following. She's always presented herself out there to the world. So I don't think the performing aspect, she's not nervous at all. And then it's just about, in wrestling, we always say, let's show your strengths, hide your weaknesses. If you have any weaknesses, which she really doesn't have any weaknesses except inexperience. That's the only weakness she has. Which a lot of wrestlers still do, especially nowadays, because there aren't a lot of places to go work every night. But it was a little nerve-wracking at first, I think, for everybody. Yeah. But I think also being in there with someone like Cody and believe it or not, someone like Red Velvet, who she's really paid her dues to get her spot, and she worked hard on the independent circuit, and so I think being comfortable with each other, stuff like that. I mean, that match was, really good for what it was on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just then, still on the celebrity subject, because we've seen him in AEW, how much interaction have you had with Mike Tyson as far as stuff we've seen him do on TV, and what do you think he'd be like to train for a match?
So I only say hello when he's there. He has his people with him, and he's never been involved in any segments that I've been a part of. So I kind of, again, it's one of those things that I try to stay away as much as I can. Like the other night, we had some UFC fighters in the crowd in Miami. It was a quick hello and goodbye. It's one of those things. I don't, unless it's presented at me, then I get involved. Mike is a huge wrestling fan. So I think it would probably be the same, and we would stick to his strengths, hide his weaknesses, and just let him know, please do not throw that punch full force. But
Absolutely. So back in 11, I saw you had a match with Larry Zbyszko, and I was wondering what it was like being in the ring with him, like such a legend.
Yeah, so Larry and I go way back, and we had this match, and we had one tag match a couple years before that where he was on the opposite team, and he put me to sleep. That was the end of the match. So I remember as I was getting ready to move out of Florida and go to Ring of Honor, it was his idea. He said, "Hey, I'd like to do this match with you. It's not going to be a lot in ring. We'll have fun. We'll do this stuff, and so be it. But I think it's a way to help boost you up even more." And of course, I was extremely appreciative of that, and it was fun for what it was. A lot easier on my body that night. So definitely cool to say that I've had a lot of like Billy Gunn, Road Dogg. I've wrestled a lot of names, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, stuff like that, men who have come before us. So yeah, it's just really cool to get those opportunities, and also afterwards to shake their hand and know that I did right by them.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking like someone like Lee Johnson is like such a great prospect, and he had a really good match on Dynamite last week. And we've got new people coming into AEW like Malachi Black and rumors of other people. So hard do you think it's going to be balancing giving time to like a younger, like homegrown star like Lee Johnson and any of the bigger names who might be there or come in later?
So, I mean, of course, it's a business. So if there's somebody that comes out and they have the equity to draw bigger ratings, that's who anyone should go with, right? And myself included. Like if I'm not drawing the rating that I need to draw, then and you tell me, hey, we're not going to use you this week or this, that, and the other, like, okay, I have to work harder. I have to figure out how to connect with the audience, stuff like that. But also we have Elevation, Dark Elevation and AEW Dark, which are tremendous platforms for a lot of the men and women that they might not be getting as much TV time as they would probably like. But at the end of the day, we only have 2 hours of TV. Now we have a third hour, but even with 3 hours of TV, if we cram 6 matches within 2 hours, it's still not with over 120 people on the roster. So Tony's been very good, and the EVPs as well, of like cycling people in and out and trying to keep their stories going with not also having them wrestle every week, which one makes for a better environment because everyone's happier. Also, it's better on their bodies, so they're always healthy. And then, like I said, in the live arenas now, the other night we did 5 hours of wrestling, 2 hours of Dynamite, 2 hours of Elevation, an hour of Dark. And we got almost every single person that traveled that week on the card. So even if their match was 2 minutes long, they still got the opportunity to go out there and work on their craft and get in front of the audience and try to, help connect to the audience. Because at the end of the day, that's what we need. So Tony's really good about that. And, I think everyone's very appreciative of it. And like I said, especially with Dark and Elevation, we've seen a lot of people come in that weren't even part of our company that end up getting themselves full-time jobs because, they do a great job. We ask them to come back and so on and so forth. And it's what we kind of tell them, like, hey, just keep doing what we ask of you and keep performing the way that, you can excel. And hopefully it turns into a contract like a Lee Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Someone I have to ask you about, because we haven't seen him wrestle yet, but he like sets Twitter alight every week, is Hook. How is Hook as a prospect, and when do you think we might see him wrestle?
So Hook has been doing some stuff at the training school. Mm-hmm. When he first started, he was coming down and staying there all the time and, staying at my house, believe it or not. Wow. So Taz and I have a very great relationship, but then Taz kind of, now he's with the FTW dojo and, he's pretty good, believe it or for somebody that, he's a college lacrosse player. So again, he's an athlete. And I think growing up with your father in the industry, that kind of just falls right into place. Great looking, great head of hair, very jealous of his hair. But yeah, he's very mysterious. And that's the other thing. He doesn't give everything away. Like his photo shoots, he'll post a photo once in a while. I don't even think has he ever tweeted?
The tweet, no.
No, right? Yeah. So he's just very mysterious. Yeah. Well, and that's why I think everyone wants to know about him because he's there and he doesn't give it away. So I'm not sure when he's going to debut, but when he does, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be very excited for it, because kind of like Jungle Boy, you know, he's very young, great looking, in tremendous shape, very athletic. So I think he's going to hit that demographic really well.
Mm-hmm. And for you, as well as in your role as producer, what's been the best like surprise that we've seen for you to watch?
Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he showed up, you know, of course, again, rumors going crazy. Oh, his merchandise got taken down from the other company's website and this, that, and the other. It's one of those things, like I said, if I don't want to know or need to know, I don't ask. So I'm in the back, and then all of a sudden I see Sting walk by. I'm like, what is going on? So with Sammy Guevara, we went into the crowd. You know, right where in Jacksonville, you can open up the doors and there's like a little hallway right there where Jon Moxley walks down. Mm-hmm. And we just sat out there and watched it because I wanted to feel the reaction that he was going to get from the crowd, because as a performer, that's the reaction you want. You know, and of course, Sting being Sting, he's going to get those reactions. So that was pretty cool.
And finally, then, what has been your favorite on-screen moment for QT, the character?
I loved jumping off that ladder in the bunkhouse match. Mm-hmm. My body didn't love it, but I really did. Of course, turning on the whole Nightmare family and having that one-on-one at Blood and Guts with Cody. I mean, there's only one first episode of Blood and Guts. And to be on it, especially with someone the magnitude of Cody Rhodes, it was pretty cool. You know, I 2 years ago, it was like the dream scenario. I would get to work backstage and wrestle, and we never knew if it was going to happen. And I also wasn't going to push the issue either, because I just don't want to be that guy. But then when Tony did ask me to wrestle and he enjoyed what I was doing, and then the pandemic hit, which gave me more opportunities to wrestle, because luckily I've been doing it so long that from the way he explained it to me, he needs people that can go on TV, that can do the job that he's asking for, and it has to be live and there are no fans. It's very different than normal. Mm-hmm. So that's how I ended up in the debut match with Brody Lee. Mm-hmm. And you know, that's another one that I think is a huge moment for me, to be able to know that I was his first match in AEW.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for the time, QT. It's been awesome to talk to you, and we got through so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.